Ethereum processed trillions of dollars in stablecoin transfers during 2025, cementing its role as a core settlement network for digital finance. Across decentralized finance protocols, Ethereum secured roughly $60 to $65 billion in total value locked on mainnet, with significantly more when Layer-2 networks are included. At the same time, daily active addresses on Ethereum's base layer declined sharply from 2024 highs, as transaction activity increasingly shifted to Layer-2 networks. Arbitrum, Optimism and Base now collectively process more daily transactions than Ethereum mainnet, often at a fraction of the cost. As 2026 approaches, Ethereum faces a defining question. Can it maintain dominance as the settlement layer for global finance? Or does fragmentation across rollups and competing chains slowly erode its central position? Welcome to the Crypto IQ. Today we're dissecting Ethereum's post-merge economics, analyzing how Layer-2 scaling reshapes fee dynamics, examining competitive pressure from alternative platforms, and evaluating whether Ethereum can retain its blue-chip status through the next market cycle. In September 2022, Ethereum transitioned from proof of work to proof of stake through the merge, fundamentally reshaping its economic model. Daily Ethereum issuance dropped by roughly 90%, falling from about 13,000 Ethereum per day under mining to approximately 1,600 to 1,800 Ethereum per day under staking. Mining rewards were eliminated and replaced by Validator rewards tied to network participation and usage. By late 2025, an estimated 30 to 34 million Ethereum was staked across roughly 850,000 to 950,000 active validators. Securing about 1/4 of total Ethereum supply, validators earn income from new issuance, priority fees, and MEV, with staking yields generally fluctuating between 3% and 4% annually. During high activity, Ethereum can become net deflationary, while lower usage produces modest inflation. Overall, Ethereum's net issuance has remained near zero, directly tying supply dynamics to real economic demand for block space. Ethereum's scaling strategy prioritizes rollups rather than higher base layer throughput. Layer-2 networks execute transactions off-chain and post-compressed data to Ethereum for settlement and security. Arbitrum, Optimism Base, ZK Sync Era, and Polygon ZK EVM lead this approach. By late 2025, Layer-2 networks collectively processed several million transactions per day, surpassing Ethereum mainnet's typical 900,000 to 1.1 million daily transactions. Fees on these networks were generally far lower than mainnet, though variable with congestion and call data pricing. Base emerged as one of the fastest growing rollups following its 2023 launch, while Arbitrum frequently led overall activity. This migration reduced Ethereum's direct user fee revenue compared to peak years like 2021. However, rollups still rely on Ethereum for security and data availability, paying settlement and posting fees. Collectively, major Layer-2s generated hundreds of millions of dollars annually in settlement-related revenue, positioning Ethereum as an increasingly wholesale settlement layer rather than a retail transaction network. Despite increased competition, Ethereum remains the dominant force in decentralized finance. By late 2025, Ethereum mainnet accounted for roughly 55 to 60% of global DeFi total value locked, with no single competitor approaching its scale. Other major platforms, such as Tron, Solana, and BNB Chain, each held single-digit billions in TVL, largely concentrated in specific niches. Ethereum's lead becomes clearer when including its Layer-2 ecosystem. Arbitrum, Optimism and Base collectively secured tens of billions of dollars under Ethereum's security model. Combined, the broader Ethereum ecosystem controlled well over $85 billion in DeFi assets, representing a decisive industry majority. Core protocols remain Ethereum first. Uniswap dominated decentralized exchange volume. MakerDAO's DAI remained primarily Ethereum-backed, and Lido continued as the largest liquid staking protocol. Developer data reinforced this dominance, with Ethereum sustaining approximately 4,500 to 5,500 active monthly developers, the largest base in crypto. Ethereum faces increasing competition in specific categories. Solana captured meaningful meme coin, NFT, and high-frequency trading activity during periods of elevated Ethereum gas fees, posting faster percentage growth in decentralized exchange volume, though from a smaller base. Performance remains a clear differentiator. Ethereum's 12-second block times and limited base layer throughput contrast with Solana's sub-second blocks and much higher theoretical transaction capacity, giving faster platforms an edge in gaming, microtransactions, and latency-sensitive applications. Reliability, however, remains Ethereum's advantage. While Solana improved stability, it still experienced periods of degraded performance. Ethereum has avoided consensus-level failures since the merge, reinforcing its reputation as the most battle-tested smart contract platform. Stablecoin usage highlights market segmentation. Tron dominated low-cost USDT transfers, particularly in emerging markets, while Ethereum continued to process large-value stablecoin flows despite higher per-transaction costs. Institutional adoption continues to favor Ethereum. Tokenized real-world assets, regulated stablecoins, and compliant DeFi infrastructure overwhelmingly deploy on Ethereum or Ethereum-compatible environments. BlackRock's Tokenized Treasury Fund, Franklin Templeton's on-chain products, and multiple pilot programs from global banks all utilized Ethereum infrastructure. Payment giants including Visa and MasterCard continued blockchain settlement experiments using Ethereum-based systems. Swift completed multiple cross-border payment pilots, leveraging Ethereum and Layer-2 networks. These decisions consistently prioritized security, regulatory clarity, and network effects over raw transaction speed. Ethereum also played a leading role in early tokenized real estate and carbon credit markets, with most production deployments occurring on Ethereum mainnet or closely integrated Layer-2s. By 2026, Ethereum's identity becomes clearer. If Layer-2 networks scale to tens of millions of daily users, while continuing to pay settlement fees to Ethereum, the base layer evolves into a global security and settlement backbone, less visible to end users, but economically sustainable. This model depends on sufficient roll-up adoption and interoperability. With dozens of Layer-2 networks live or in development, aggregate settlement revenue could eventually rival or exceed historical base layer fee income. The alternative scenario is fragmentation. If users and developers disperse across incompatible rollups or migrate permanently to competing chains, Ethereum's network effects weaken gradually. Market share erosion compounds over time, even without a single dramatic failure. Ethereum's implementation of EIP 4.8.4 in 2024 significantly reduced rollup costs. Future scaling upgrades, including full dank sharding planned for the second half of the decade, could further compress fees and strengthen Ethereum's position if delivered on schedule. Ethereum enters 2026 with structural advantages few platforms can match. A dominant DeFi ecosystem, the largest developer community, deep institutional adoption, and a proven security model. Yet these strengths face pressure from Layer-2 fee migration, faster competing platforms, and the risk of ecosystem fragmentation. The next 12 to 18 months will determine whether ETH retains its blue chip status or enters a structurally more competitive phase. Subscribe to the Crypto IQ, as we will come back again with another interesting topic.